Shut up! I hate people who look down on others. I will defeat Entrance.
We get an email from CC Corp informing the players that one of the other root towns, Luminant Cloth, is now available once again. Luminant Cloth was made to try and stem the tide of PKers by giving those interested in PvP a place to gather, the big attraction being the arena, where consenting players can enter to just brawl with each other. It didn't work. In fact, a lot of PKs use it to help build their rep so their victims know who's responsible for exterminating them. PvP toggle. Why is that so hard to understand? Still, the arena seemed to be a stroke of brilliance, as they allowed non-competing players to spectate, and it allows the company to televise the battles for their own profit through internet streaming. Another thing this game Wait, strike that. Even in 2007, this was already a thing in Korea with StarCraft matches. The arena is split into 3 tiers depending on level caps and skill. Each of its champions crowned Emperor, and Stelbus and Gaspard are there to see the title match of the latest tournament. And the current Emperor of the Demon Palace is a man named Entrance. We have met Entrance before. Not just in the earlier scene with the Ida, but farther back than that. And if you're a fan of the series, you know who he is from the moment his power is unveiled. For Entrance is an epitaph user. His phase is Maha. And in the world R1, Kaoru Ichinose was Elk. This is skipping ahead a bit, but it's best to address it now. Losing Mia utterly destroyed him. My suspicion is he was there when CC Corp came and took her to rip her apart for Maha, but there's no confirmation of that within the franchise itself. He spends almost all of his time in the world doing nothing else, because he doesn't care about anything else but her and trying to find her again. It's likely until R1 collapsed and they shut down the servers, he was hunting for her, trying to reach out and save her in the collapsing system, to no avail. His greatest failure. And he thinks the cat that's with him is Mia, reformatted in the new system, and will do anything for her approval, seeing nothing and no one else as worthy of his time. The irony being that the second he logged in trying to find her, Maha, which was certainly more Mia than the phase by that point, joined with him. She came back to him the first chance she had, but he can't see her. He can only see the avatar puppet that, to him, embodies one of the worst moments of his life, the first time he lost her. That's all that's left to him, that memory. Instead, he personifies her in that cat. The title of the Temptress is an appropriate one, as Entrance, Kaoru, is in love with Mia, and it's one that can never be shared, as Mia from the beginning was a fragment of a program. He can never really have her. And that love is strangling him without him knowing it, as that cat he worships isn't her. And the entire point of him ruling the arena, never taking damage through the power of the avatar, is to try and earn that affection from it, which he once received from the real Mia. No one but Epitaph users can see the avatars, so to the common players they just see an unbeatable skill. But to Haseo, it's something different. Another option from Raven's machinations. But Entrance is a cautionary tale to the road not traveled. What Pai got wrong about Haseo and what he would use the avatar for was against threats and the thing that took Shino from him. He'd likely not considered blasting every player with it, like Entrance does. Entrance uses Maha without care to the cause, hitting home due to the similar motivations, the loss of a loved one. Haseo catches sight of Ovan, trying to grill him for details, only for Ovan to tease him with the knowledge that the power he can't access is needed if he wants to save Shino.
I will always be waiting for you to...
Huh?
No.
Oban leaves, allowing Haseo to cross paths with Bo's other half, Saku. As stated before, Saku's a brat, but she worships the ground Entrance walks on, which he is more or less oblivious to.
The truth of why. Oh my, that twist.
But when Entrance appears, his entrance reeks of Ida. With Yada's revelations, Haseo is certain Ida is responsible for Shina's condition, but without power, he can do nothing.
So then you were able to see her, but nothing more than that. So you have no real power. You don't even have the heart to understand them. Seeing her doesn't change the fact that you're just someone in the crowd. You will grow old without ever accomplishing anything, and then you will just die and rot away into nothing. How pitiful. How truly, truly pitiful you are.
And that's just it. Rebirth, and for that matter Roots, keeps piling on the same things. From the day Haseo logged in, he can do nothing when it matters.
He couldn't stop the PKs, couldn't stop the ostracization Tabby caused, couldn't stop Tan from taking Ovan, couldn't comfort Shino or save her when she was a lost one. He couldn't get through the forest without help, recognize the alien condition of an old man trying to help him, stop Triage when he was in his grasp, and now he can't even call the power that Ovan knew he had from day one. He has failed and failed and failed and failed, and he's sick of being useless. Being told he should just quit, give up on Shino because he can't do anything. And this is where he begins to make his stand.
Who the hell are you to tell me that? I'll prove it. I'll show you power, and I'll defeat you!
Endrance laughs this off, believing it impossible, but the challenge remains. And to defeat the Emperor, he needs to enter the next tournament. Before that, he needs to rise through the rankings to even qualify, meaning lots of battles against other players. And he can't do it alone. He needs a team. Syllabus is up for it, but good teams need a healer. Shadow Warlocks, while a magic class, aren't the best at it, and Gaspard shies away from that type of crowd anyways. They need a Harvest Cleric. They need Adelie. Fortunately, Adelie sent Haseo a message for another outing at Delta Blurry Obsessive Slacker, but Haseo is a bit reluctant to ask her.
Not only because she's a Moontree cultist, but he can already tell from her personality and actions she's not one that's really much of a fighter, in the game more for socialization and experiencing the game itself. He's considering her, and whether or not he should drag her into his mess. But she's his first and only real choice without asking complete strangers.
And that belief is pretty much on the nose. Adelie handing over some return feathers which fast-track you back to area platforms we're exiting, which shows she doesn't even care for leveling her character. This is where we unintentionally get more into the head of Adelie, as she seems rather flighty, even as Haseo tries to make nice. And he really, really does try. Doing his best to not cross her as the way she goes through areas is effectively anathema to how he's always played, refuting the purpose of the visuals in the context of the game itself to just appreciate its existence.
It's like being part of a band and signing up to play at an event, only to just go and join the audience once you're there.
Now, I'm not saying the visuals in a game are unimportant. The visuals are there to help facilitate the story you are trying to tell and the world you build. But visuals for the sake of nothing but their own existence? That's one of the problems of a Hollywood blockbuster and from people who are obsessed with fucking frame rates in games when they don't matter as long as you can see the game and it can run. It doesn't reach the levels of extremes as she knows all the lore behind their purpose, but she's excluding the other half. And there's more to that.
Even if it is fiction, the feelings of pain and sadness that we feel here in this location are in fact very real.
Suppose it's real. Then it will be more exciting.
Yes, but you and I are currently inside of that world, right? We're both here, right now, living in the world. So, Haseo, have you ever met anyone in the world you could open up to? I know, isn't it? This is number 15 among my all-time recommended places.
So, you have a top 20 or something?
Nope, I've got 132 altogether.
Shino and Ovan. This is where they first met each other.
And this is inevitably the problem. Adley echoes Shino in so many ways. He put her up on a pedestal in his mind, and those similarities, while not being all that Adley is, are digging into a wound he can't let scab over.
He broaches the topic of the arena, and it's as Haseo expected. She doesn't like fighting. She doesn't like competing at all because she sucks at it. She hates that there has to be winners and losers because she knows losing endlessly hurts. Because she's never won. And Moontree has reinforced the ideal that things should change if she can't. Filled her heads with ideals more than reality.
Personally, I think it's also really important for us to slow down and stop. And to enjoy things like flowers blooming around your ankles. Nice things like meeting all sorts of new people.
And this is where Haseo snaps.
What are you, an idiot? All of this. All of this. All of this. Is nothing more than a bunch of computer data. It's just a bunch of fake stuff made by slapping textures on top of Polygon. How the hell do you find any part of this made-up world beautiful?
Haseo!
There's only one thing that's real about this world, and that's us, the players. Getting stronger and defeating your opponent. Those are the ways that all of us keep connected. That's the way this game is played. What's wrong with that, huh?
Because Adley's words,
Answer me.
they're the same as everyone else's. Give up. Stop trying. Let it be someone else's problem. And with the similarities to Shino, it's as if she herself is telling him to stop reaching for her. Stop trying to save her. And he can't believe that. Can't accept that someone so like her would shun all reality. Ignore the game for an illusion. A mirage of pixels rendered on a texture map for the people that are there around them. That he can't even bear to look at her anymore.
Damn it.
On top of everything else, this was inevitable. But looking back, this was the moment of his biggest mistake. There are some that rival it, but everything that snowballs from this one act falls like dominoes.
He contacts Syllabus, letting him know of his failure. They go for the backup plan, asking blindly on the forums. They quickly get a reply from someone named Sakura.
I need a moment. Trust me, this will make sense much, much later.
Anyways, Sakura wants to meet them at the Beast statue in Delta Gauntlet Season's Drunkard for the audition.
It's a trap!
Yep, ambushed by Bordeaux. In fact, they were hired to do this. However, Adley saw him leaving and was tipped off by Bo. See, Saku's behind the entire thing, as she doesn't want someone as unworthy as Haseo getting anywhere near entrance. So, since Adley is aware of malicious PKing, she calls in her guild. Unfortunately, the one she went to was Sakaki and his disciple Matsu. Sakaki pretty much spouts a bunch of double talk that doesn't actually hold water when you think about it, specifically about Kestrel's guildmaster.
But he doesn't endorse player kills, does he?
Why not let those that want to PK? And PKKers can do as they want to. If you don't want to die, then run!
Pretty much Gabi's thing, as we learn in a bit, is he really doesn't care if people PK or not. He just doesn't like people not challenging themselves.
It's likely why Bordeaux became fixated on Haseo. He was the ultimate challenge as the Terror of Death, and had the level down not happened, would still be a legitimate target. But it's been forgotten in her obsession. However, Sakaki's solution is to put Haseo under the Moontree banner without actually addressing the real problem.
We only did what any other online game player would have done for another player in need. I am no hero of justice.
Oi! Starch for brains. You ever consider writing down the usernames of PKs to see if they actually leave players alone? There are other ways to harass someone than to PK them. We saw that with Tan. We will see that again soon.
It's another reason to hate Sakaki. He only sees symptoms of a problem and not their actual causes, only putting a band-aid on something that requires stitches. And yet his charisma brings followers to his flock. Matsu over there? He's a former PK that Sakaki charmed into working for him, mainly as it gave Matsu an opportunity to fight strong opponents, which is what he was after.
Essentially, Matsu is the same as Haseo. And yeah, the game opened with Sakaki insulting Haseo's path, but has no issue with Matsu, who in fact baits PKers into attacking him to get around that self-defense rule Moontree has in place. While Haseo would try to get information about triads before beating PKs down, that taunt really does make Matsu the same as those he hunts.
And he continues that chain of insulting Haseo as he forces gratitude from the act out of him in a not-so-subtle threat when Adelie makes herself known. And he really is sticking himself in the middle of something the two need to work out on their own, made worse in how he follows up with more of his hypocrisy, making it about him.
I find that it's much easier to depend on one another, and to understand one another. Don't you agree?
Yeah, try spending half a year having to deal with freaking Tabby, and have people drop themselves into the middle of your own problems.
And that's the thing. This is Haseo's problem, that he has to deal with and not a random PK attack. They have no business butting in. Tabby turned him off to the idea of accepting help with her uselessness, and he's trying to keep people that this is a danger to from getting involved. Not to mention, it only came up because of his own personal grudge with Endurance that, again, isn't their concern. The only thing he would have lost from being PK'd is trust in random strangers, and that's already something he has in rather short supply.
So take your self-righteous, moral-aggrandizing, egocentric worldview that thinks you actually achieved anything this day, and shove it!
Haseo only makes progress with apologizing to Adelie when Sakaki leaves, as that's the point when she finally has a chance to talk. You see a lot that Sakaki is suffocating her with his mere presence. Not helped that due to how Adelie is, not only does she worship the ground Sakaki walks on, she believes Haseo's blow-up at her is entirely her fault instead of the culmination of factors I stated earlier. Still, the arena is brought up again, revealing needing a third member is why he asked her about it in the first place, which she offers to join them in. Why?
I thought about it, and I realized that it's no good for me just to force Moontree on you. I also have to try and understand you.
And that's the beauty of this arc, realizing she's been hurting her views by talking from ignorance. But also...
Is it really so strange, so bad for me, to want to know what the taste of victory is like for once in my life?
No, I think it's great that you want that.
Everyone wants to win at something, even if it's just one time. So we have the team. Now it's time to go about registering at the arena. Ranking battles are determined by character level, with more opening up as you level up.
The sad thing is, after you get enough rank points to qualify, while you're locked in a tournament, you can't do anything else.
And you can't really do arena battles past this that aren't related to the story mode. Since you face other players, you need to worry about Rengekis and counter-Rengekis, as since the enemy teams have those too, they can intercept and counter your own for major damage. You can counter theirs for the same, so it's important to listen for the sound you're used to hearing when someone activates a skill trigger. Healing is halved in the arena, and items are off limits, aside from equipment switches. Status ailments are also big, so status healing spells are a major boon.
I hate that you spend a limited time doing arena battles, as with the emphasis on skill trigger, it really is the best way to level up your skill attacks. But the limited time with it results in a lot of lost opportunity.
The first match brings out something new in Adelie. Ecstatic joy at succeeding at something. While she is a gentle person, she needed this more than that one victory. She needed to learn that fighting doesn't change who you are, that competing is not bad. You just need to keep trying and experiencing things. This is the influence Haseo has, to let her be herself, but allow her to grow, without expectation. To challenge her views and allow her to attempt something new with no strings attached. To spread her wings like the birds of her namesake.
And you know what? She found she likes competing in the arena. More than any other character, Adelie would remain part of Team Haseo for the coming arena battles. That doesn't change who she is. It just allows her to have fun and interact with people in a place that is designed to hold combat. While she still doesn't like fighting, she becomes more open to playing the world in ways she's denied herself. And it's all because Haseo took a chance on her.
Bordeaux taunts them as they leave the arena, and the next while is doing stuff to level up. One of note is in the forums, specifically a man calling out Triads to come to the Cool Grounds Cathedral. And yes, as I have mentioned before, Pyros is in GU.
And believe it or not, he's no longer an annoying character. At all. I know, right?
Oh, sure, he's eccentric, but it's character consistency. I guess being completely over the top helps, as then he's going all into it instead of just being a creepy roleplayer that doesn't know when to quit the act. It changes him from a nuisance into charismatically hilarious. Since we last saw him, Pyros got a job at CC Corp and led the team that designed much of the environment of R2, and has only recently been made aware of the Triad signs, which he feels are an affront to his work.
Oh, and he got married and had a kid. Weird.
Haseo checks the place out as Pyros described himself on the forums as the leader of GU. But Pyros has a different definition of GU. Graphics Unlimited! Probably why Pai's group had to go with the guild name Raven.
There are a lot of meanings to the abbreviation. I'll get to the real one at the end. Though, it makes me wonder why Yada didn't call in any of the other hackers that are still in the world to assist in support roles for the IDA conflict. Hell, Pyros is part of the company. This should be a no-brainer. Just walk to his office, let him know about it, and ask if he can watch over some of the candidates that can help.
Haseo tries to tell Pyros that Triage is beyond him, but Pyros is a bit thick-headed about it. Par for the course for him. But we do get his member address from the encounter, and he'll keep us updated in reacquiring the lost grounds and any new signs. But that's pretty much all he does. Could have been cut from the game, really. As you begin to improve your rankings, Haseo encounters a drunk old man, calling himself Antares, who praises his progress, seeing potential in him, but he has a lot of flaws he needs to correct.
Unfortunately, as often is the case, constructive criticism when said aloud sounds more offensive than intended.
And sure enough, Haseo, with how raw he is about being demeaned, is appropriately riled up. But Antares takes it in good humor, challenging Haseo to complete Delta Lazy Advice's exile. Now is also a good time to do a bunch of shop quests to open more side quests. Dr. Keppel is a steam engineer who builds robots. He's the one who built Mechagrunty. But a problem with his creations is their AIs tend to go rampant.
Damn it, not even in a series about the dangers of big business abusing AI can we get away from a destroy all squishies plotline.
Granted, it's framed in the game as being damaged, so it could be worse. Weaken it by setting devices on the surrounding hills. Dr. Powell researches lucky animals.
Lucky animal locations change depending on party level and area level. Fortunately, someone's charted the whole thing out and is on the .hack wiki and, of course, right here.
But this specific one has them hunting down the Black Sleipnir once all monsters in an area are killed. Beakman is a nuisance, as his game-long side quest involves handing out flyers to every player in the goddamn game.
It'd be hard enough if it was just finding them logged into Makanu and Lumina Cloth, but there are only so many on at any given time, but it also involves the special guild fields for Kestrel and Moontree.
Yeah, their guilds are so large they warrant their own customized areas.
And players you meet at random in areas, which includes PKs, random players you save from being PK'd, and the Medic Union.
I mentioned the Medic Union being relevant before in the Roots reviews. They stay at field platforms and offer free healing services along with buffing your party. Essentially what the Paw Paw Squad said they were going to do, but actually succeeding at it. As a result, Beakman's side quest is the only one, to this day, I have never gotten completed. To no end of frustration on my part as a completionist. Lastly is Dingo, whose side quest revolves around bounty hunting, and the bounties are all PKs.
Yeah, on top of the arena, CC Corp knows it's such a problem that they made an NPC to license people to hunt player killers. Why is the PvP toggle so hard again?
There are two types of PKs. Ones that are just players with nothing special, and then there's the Blacklist, which is made up of chaotic PKs. Until you're around the midpoint in each game's level cap, 25, 75, and 125, you have good odds of being completely annihilated when facing them. Even with a good party, you risk failure, so smokescreens when hunting are critical. Fortunately, when you generate an area, there is a helpful indicator of how many other players are in said area, so when randomly sorting through the keywords, you have a better chance of generating encounters of both the PKs and the random players for both the Bounty Hunter and Beakman's Flyer side quests, so you're not going in blind. And the keyword Berserker increases chances of coming across battle arenas.
I, however, recommend finding them in fields as opposed to the dungeons.
The main reason is you have a higher chance of entering right next to one of the arenas, and putting in the Berserker keyword for it keeps the presence of it active, meaning you can return to this field over and over again and fight whatever is in that arena, running through the encounters much faster than just hunting through areas endlessly.
Combine this with finding where Mecha Grunty is in that field, and you can knock the two of them out within 2 to 3 hours. Technically 4, as you'll be harvesting Chim to get Mecha Grunty working, and as you level up, the area's lucky animal will change. You see how all of these tie together and how you'll do them as you pass by them anyways?
Rebirth's blacklist is Greedy Cervantes, Genjo the Fatal, Fiery Genie 5, Magical Pocotan, Garden Michelle, Poison Lele, and of course, Immortal Goroki.
You get special items for eliminating them, and clearing the list has Dingo give up the rare weapon, the Ripper's Blades, which is the best twin blade weapon in Rebirth. Its abilities are Backstab and Sleep Attack. And, for those not familiar with tabletop RPG rules, Backstab allows for constant dealing of critical damage when you attack from behind.
Anyways, Antares' area is a teleporter maze. Yes, even this game cannot avoid them. This one's easy though, but they get more frustrating later on. Fortunately, Antares sends tips via short mail to help him complete it. A bit of hand-holding, but good for younger players this would confuse. At this point, you have nothing else to do but rank up, and you're only allowed to get the lowest point ranking before it locks you out to register for the tournament. As you head back to register, Saku comes over to harass Haseo, mocking him with knowledge that he's missed something. And that is the fact that there's more than one way to attack someone. There's physical, emotional, through slander, and through those you care about. All Sakaki did when he intervened was just stop one avenue, attacking him personally, and Team Only One Target was hired to stop Haseo by any means.
And since Haseo was off the market, they started marking anyone that associates with Kennard.
This is the truth of the malevolence of PKs and the arrogance of Moontree under Sakaki. This is how they always work when Moontree gets involved. The PKers hold to the agreement to avoid the cultists, but then continue it with other targets who are close to theirs or find new prey, getting more pleasure from a now Moontree-approved method. They continue their own games with other victims, and Moontree feels like they've actually done something.
It's justified in their views as, fewer calls for assistance have come in, so it must be happening less. But in reality, the requests have stalled because no one outside of Moontree believes in them to help anymore.
Moontree are not fixing the problem. They're creating whole new ones under the leadership of Sakaki. The story tries to blame this on Haseo and Team Bordeaux, but when you force people to change their ways through threats and not by confronting them, this is what always results. And that's all Moontree has done. Preach Hippocratic ideology, bully PKers in the manner PKers bully normal players, and not do anything to fix what's actually wrong, only facilitating the cycle of victimization.
This is why I hated Sakaki even before the first game concluded. His actions are caustic to everyone, and he can't even see that. He is blind to everything that does not fit his worldview, and people are hurt because of it.
Bordeaux and her team are members of Kestrel, a guild 5,000 members strong, and fortunately Kuhn, who was checking in on Haseo at the time, has an in with the guild, having set it up along with Gabi. And the reason is obvious. This was his guild first, these are his friends, and even though he's not in charge, he can do something to help. So Kuhn and Haseo go to Kestrel, and it's Guildmaster Gabi. And it's pretty much what I showed earlier. There's no fun in abusing those with no reason. There's no challenge. And hiring themselves out just so they can focus on their target has made them forget their purpose in Kestrel. So Bordeaux lays down their challenge, for they are in the Demon Palace tournament. and Haseo's their first opponent. So not only is the way to entrance riding on this, so is the future of Canard as a guild. And what will hold them to their word that they'll stop this entirely after this is the loyalty they have to Gabi and their guild, as he will discipline them and throw them out for defying him.
It's ironic that the one that leads the guild most PKs gravitate to has more influence in stopping them than the guild that is dedicated to that act.
Haseo informs the others of the deal, but this is where we start to see the purpose of Gaspard and Syllabus as common players. They're just here to have fun, but they're dragged into all of this madness that's always existed in its underground, but they've previously managed to avoid. And after this, Kun tells him to withdraw. Why? Well, Kun and Pai are in the tournament as well, in an attempt to contact Endurance as he's ignored them, and he has no chance against them.
This is the exact wrong thing to do. Something I've been trying to emphasize with Haseo is the role of responsibility. He feels responsible for so many things, most notably saving Shino because no one else will. Canard has just joined so many things, as whether or not Sakaki was the root cause, they're only harassed because of him. And that constant failure and re-emphasis of how worthless he is eating him away. And to stop would be to quit.
And Haseo points that out to Kun, framing it in the insensitive terms of Gaspard as the example. Because in reality, that's what Kun just told him to do. To quit would be better, and he doesn't see that. Which tells Haseo so much about how much he can be relied upon and trust Kun's words. But he's right about one thing. He's low in level, and he can't access his phase. But as an adept rogue, he has something most do not have. For the job extension quest has just flagged. As I've explained before, adept rogues can utilize multiple weapon classes, normally unlocked through job extension events.
As Roots was fucking stupid in its plotline, it made it so Haseo never learned about the quest versions of the extensions, keeping it as the Forest exclusive, which screwed him over.
And the test Antares gave him is the exact same challenge the quest gives. And so upon completing the event, Haseo evolves. He's now unlocked his second class, that of the Edge Punisher and their massive broadswords.
And I gotta say, I like the samurai-like look he sports in the second form a lot more than that of the Black Rogue. Unfortunately, every character in this damn game has some stupid design quirk that I just loathe. And some of the more annoying ones are the freaking back adornments they keep putting on Haseo.
Seriously, each and every one of them has one. Second form's variation is that cloth that falls to his feet without purpose. While he doesn't say it, Haseo is grateful to Antares and his mentoring, as now he's one step closer to being back where he was, and moving beyond it.
Next time is the match against Bordeaux, and from this point forward, everything changes.